Russia downed hundreds of Ukrainian drones, briefly shuts Moscow airports.
National Assembly discusses tuition exemption for preschool children and general education pupils.
Visiting the blacksmith village that set a national record.
Hello, so good to see you again on today's news. I'm Huang Yin, and here we go, the first headline of the show. Russia said on Wednesday its air defenses shot down hundreds of Ukrainian drones, including some approaching Moscow, and the capital's airports were briefly shut down to ensure the safety of the flights.
The Russian Defense Ministry said that Russia had intercepted or destroyed at least 376 Ukrainian drones. Most were in western regions of Russia bordering Ukraine and central Russia. The Ukrainian military said that its drones had attacked the Bolkovsky semiconductor equipment plant in the Oryol region, which is a major supplier to Russian fighter jet and missile manufacturers. As Russia, Ukraine, the United States, and European countries discuss ways to end the more than 3-year conflict in Ukraine, fighting has escalated in some frontline areas and drone strikes continue.
The U.S. President Donald Trump confronted South African President Cyril Ramaphosa on Wednesday with explosive false claims of white genocide and land seizure during a tense White House meeting.
The meeting at the White House was initially friendly when the two leaders discussed golf and foreign policy. However, tension began when Ramaphosa affirmed that there was no genocide against white South African residents. Trump was not satisfied with the above statement and asked to play a pre-prepared documentary. The White House video included scenes of former South African President Jacob Zuma and a famous politician singing a song supporting the Afrikaner genocide, while the surrounding crowd danced. In response to the moves that were considered somewhat provocative from his U.S. counterpart, the South African president affirmed that the views in the video did not reflect the stance of this country's government. Ahead of the White House meeting, the South African president had hoped to improve deteriorating bilateral relations with the United States.
The National Assembly continued its ongoing ninth session agenda on May 22nd by deliberating a draft resolution proposing tuition fee exemptions and financial support for preschoolers and general education students, including those attending non-public and private educational institutions.
The draft resolution focuses on tuition fee exemption for preschool children, primary school students, and students studying general education programs at educational institutions in the national education system. In addition, the draft also proposes tuition fee support for preschool children and primary school students studying at private educational institutions. Once adopted, the policy will come into effect in the 2025-2026 academic year. The discussion and adoption of the resolution on tuition exemption shows the party and state's concern for education, especially creating the best conditions for the young generation to study and develop.
Upcoming are some updated news.
2025 is the final year of the medium-term public investment plan for the 2021-2025 period, which is very important. Therefore, from the beginning of the year, Nghệ An promptly implemented it after receiving the Prime Minister's decision. The total assigned plan is more than 10 trillion VND, and so far the province has allocated more than 9 trillion VND in detail, reaching 90.65%. As of May 10, Nghệ An has disbursed 25.49% of the total plan and 28.12% of the assigned plan, higher than the same period last year. In particular, some sources of disbursement achieved quite well, such as National Target Program on New Rural Construction, reaching 59.65%, Local Budget, reaching more than 27%. In particular, the province's key interregional projects basically ensured progress, with construction volume reaching about 90%.
Deputy Prime Minister Nguyễn Đăng recently held a meeting with ministries and branches to give opinions on the government's resolution on investment in expanding Quốc International Airport. highly appreciating the ministries, branches, and localities for actively and promptly implementing many tasks, ensuring progress. Deputy Prime Minister Nguyễn Đăng agreed to the policy of expanding Quốc International Airport to serve APEC 2027 in the form of investment. The Deputy Prime Minister also agreed to decentralize the Provincial People's Committee to decide on approving the investment policy, as well as adjusting the investment policy according to the prescribed legal procedures and included in the government's general resolution on this issue. The provincial officials poised to take the reins on everything from construction oversight to environmental impact assessments and fire safety regulations.
The Southeast Asian Football Federation, AFF, has just announced the seed group for football at the 33rd SEA Games. Notably, U22 Vietnam is placed in the #1 seed group with Thailand and Indonesia. This is a big advantage before the draw ceremony. The 33rd SEA Games men's football will have 11 teams, divided into 3 groups. Group A includes 3 teams. Group B and Group C each have 4 teams. The top 3 teams in the group and the second team with the best results will enter the semifinals. The matches will take place from December 3 to 18 in Thailand. In addition, the Vietnamese women's team is also in the #1 seed group with Thailand and Myanmar. There are 9 participating teams, divided into 3 groups. The matches will take place from December 4 to 17 in Chonburi Province.
For generations, the sound of hammers and anvils has become a familiar sound in Nhong Blacksmith Village, Diễn Châu District. Now, Nhong Blacksmith Village is not only the cradle of traditional blacksmithing, but also makes its mark when it sets the national record. The record is not only in numbers, but also a testament to the perseverance, ingenuity, and the pride of the people who are attached to this career. More in the story.
No Lam Village in Dien Tho Commune, Dien Châu District, Nghệ An, is located next to the Sat River flowing through Dien Tho Commune, a place with a long-standing iron forging profession famous throughout the country. According to No Lam history, since its birth, No Lam Village has had the profession of smelting iron ore.
The blacksmithing profession has been around for a long time, since the Cao Lo dynasty. In the past, this place was very busy. Boats came here to import iron goods to be transported to other places.
Mrs. Min's family, one of the long-standing households, recounted that since the time of her grandparents, the whole family has been attached to hammers, pliers, anvils. Even though the profession is simpler now, each hammer blow, each forging line still contains the passion and skill of many generations.
In the past, my ancestors forged weapons for fighting. Later, they forged production tools.
No Lam Blacksmith Village has just been recognized by the Vietnam Record Organization as the oldest iron forging village in Vietnam. This is an important milestone to continue accompanying the people in preserving the fire of blacksmithing, while exploiting the cultural and tourism potential associated with the craft village.
The blacksmith is a historical mark left by our ancestors. It has existed until today. The younger generation wants to continue to preserve this profession, so the leaders of Dien Tho Commune also want to renovate, repair, and restore the blacksmith village of the past.
The national record is not only the pride for the local people, but it also opens up many new expectations in preserving and developing traditional craft villages. After hundreds of years with many ups and downs of history, the blacksmithing profession in Dien Tho has persisted and developed as an inseparable part of the lives of the people here.
The last story just ended our program today. Thank you so much for your attention. Goodbye and see you later.